Hello, everyone. My name is Taha, and I'm an admin over here at Brainstorm School. And here we have one of our instructors, Tanase. Um, amazing instructor. You have a very exciting class coming up. Would you like to tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, so in this class, students are going to be learning how to take environments built in Blender, take them into the pipeline, use Unreal kind of as the final product and final software that they're going to put stuff in. The reason being is Unreal has some really powerful lighting tools and optimization tools. We can get a lot of depth and a lot of vibrant material in 3D out of Unreal, and I haven't seen any other renderer software that kind of matches that at this point on the market.
Yeah, no, I 1000% agree. Would you be able to talk a little more about like why use Unreal Engine specifically for concept? Why not just Blender and all the cool things that Blender also has to offer from your
Well,
experience alone?
yeah, Blender is really powerful when it comes to rendering and getting kind of like a final shot that's workable for concept artists. But I do think that it takes a lot of technical know-how to get that into Blender to actually behave how you want it to. So I feel like Unreal is a bit more friendlier to concept artists as far as just putting in some lighting, getting some like placeholder, getting some atmosphere out of that 3D concept. So in that regard, I feel like Unreal, even though it seems scary, has a lower overhead as far as learning and a gentler learning curve.
That's actually surprising. I don't know. I just thought Unreal would have been harder. That is really
Well,
interesting.
a lot of people get scared of it because they're like, "Oh, it's a game engine, I have to, pass the test at NASA." But no, it's not like that. And the way that I structure the course makes it really friendly, and you start to kind of understand it bit by bit and get less scared of the software and use it to your advantage.
That makes sense. How do you think, from the way that you use it, how does the process apply within the pipeline? And
So
actually, if you would
yeah.
tell us a little bit about your experience as well
Oh, yeah.
in the industry.
So I started as a, I wanted to start as a concept artist actually, but then I saw kind of the opportunity going into 3D. So doing kind of the same thing, but with vertices and 3D assets. So I kind of stayed true to that course. I I took a deviation from that 2D side, but I still kind of applied 3D as I would as a concept artist. So as far as the pipeline and what I do with Unreal and Blender, it's mostly related to volumes and previs. So that's my main thing that I do right now. And I've worked for clients like Marvel, Disney, ILM. Um, Currently working on something in the Star Wars universe. I can't specify what, but I've worked on Mando season 3, season 2. Um, I can't mention that one. I had to catch myself. Book of Boba, Shang-Chi, and the list goes on. Um, so I was grateful to actually work on these shows and had the honor to work with some really talented people. But going back to Unreal and Blender, a constant that I've seen now in concept art has been concept artists don't just do 2D stuff. They started implementing and kind of like forming a hybrid of 3D and 2D. So this class is going to be a really good intro to that world and kind of a solid step into doing what the industry is doing currently. So 2D comes on top of 3D designs. As weird as it sounds, that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, and that's such an interesting shift that has happened, at least from I've seen like very recently. Why do you think that is?
We get a bit more out of those designs. So with the 2D concept, if I you would have to like train yourself a lot to get the same angle of that certain environment and kind of keep the consistency. With 3D, you're speeding up the process of okay, if this angle doesn't work for me, I still have my block out or medium detailed 3D model. Let me shift the camera. Let me adjust the lighting a bit and I can do a paint over in half an hour to a standard where, you know, an art director can be satisfied with it versus, you know, spending a bit more and kind of finessing and started from scratch. And again, you would have to have a lot of experience to kind of stay
Of
consistent with
course.
that design. So that's the plus. It is a tool in the tool belt. It doesn't really, it's not the silver bullet.
Yeah, that
So,
makes sense. What parts of Blender would you combine with Unreal in the sense?
I would use Blender for kit bashing and modeling software just because we are going to be using kits essentially in the class. I'm not going to bore everyone with how to model with Blender. There's a class for that, and there's an amazing teacher for it too. Um, but we do want to bend the 3D space to our will and kind of get the composition that we're going for. So I will introduce some basic modeling stuff, some taming of certain assets. I won't go too much in depth. And with that knowledge in Blender and with those modifications, we're going to get all of that and export it into Unreal. Unfortunately, Unreal is trying to have a modeler within it, but it's really primitive. So we need to use something like Blender.
That makes sense. In that case, what kinds of students do you think would be perfect for a class like yours? And
Uh,
as like intimidating as Unreal Engine kind of seems as well.
Someone that's excited for everything that's coming up new in the industry, and is not, I wouldn't say is not scared because that doesn't exist. Everything is intimidated until you try to do it. But
True.
someone definitely that's hungry and wants that extra edge in the industry. Because not a lot of people want to go into this just because they're scared of it, just because they want to stay solely in 2D. But I really do encourage concept artists to pick up a bit of 3D. It doesn't have to be clean, but if it's a vehicle for your 2D concept, then it's done its purpose.
Nice. And if anything, like what kinds of things do you want your students to get out of your class? Besides, of course, like you could talk on skill, but also
Yeah.
like maybe ways of thinking, certain philosophies that you'd like to impart upon your students.
The main philosophy is never settle for one technique or one skill because, especially in the creative industry, you want to keep that edge always. When you stay stagnant, that's when you kind of die as an artist. You want to try to reinvent yourself. Naturally, you're going to have parts where you're going to be stagnant, where you're going to plateau, you're going to live there for a while, but you want to refresh yourself. You want to discard that husk and go into something new. And you want to go with where the demand is going to because you want to make money as an artist. You want to be profitable. It's a business. You're an individual that's trying to launch a business here. So that's kind of what I want my students to take away from this class. Even if you implement 15% of it, that's a win for me because that 15% that you drew from this class is a huge advantage compared to now you could say you're competing with the world as a concept artist. Not a lot of people are going into Unreal 5. Not a lot of people
Yes.
have that entrance level into it. And it's kind of like still slightly mythical for concept artists and even in production, let's be honest.
Mm.
But if you have that highly specialized tool under your belt and you can make it work for you, that's what I want artists to get out of this class, concept artists and students.
That's amazing, especially with an industry that is just ever evolving in terms of
Yes.
the different skills as well that we'll need to learn.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, look at it. Even VR sculpting.
yes.
People use it for blocking stuff. Directors come in and want to scout a VR sculpt, or we're using VR. Like the technology is really moving fast into a direction that we couldn't even imagine, but it's exciting.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. What are you excited to see for this upcoming class?
I'm excited to see amazing student work and kind of I want to unlock a bit of a cheat because what
Hmm.
you would need to get to the level of what's going to be coming out of this class is going to be probably like at least 5 years of intense studying and drawing and figuring out stuff. What I'm essentially giving them is the cheat code to here's perspective, here's atmosphere, here's how you can make awesome, epic environments with um, I wouldn't say very little effort because there's some effort and everything, but I'm kind of giving you a peek into what you can do.
That is incredible. All right. Well, do you have any final thoughts for our audience at all?
Um, as far as final thoughts,
Hmm.
um, visit. I'm kidding. um,
Visit Tanase.com, you know?
yeah, visit. Here's my merch. Here's my plugin.
Yeah, you're sure, yeah.
Don't be scared. Make the jump. I'm easygoing as an instructor. We're going to be cracking jokes. I'm going to keep it light, just because that's my philosophy of teaching. If you're not laughing at least 2 times in a class, it's going to be boring. You're not going to retain anything. But yeah, that's going to be my final thought. Just jump in and let's have some fun. You're not going to regret it.
That is amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you.
And I never know how to end these things, so we could like just wave to bye to the camera, you know?
For
Yeah.
sure.
Bye guys. Thank you so much again.
My pleasure.